Kutoka vijijini, mijini hadi jijini. Hii ni Sound Kanti Talk Live.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for making time to join us. This is Sound Candid Talk, open forum political discussion show, the show that gives you an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development on our political front. Congratulations to our Harambee Stars for shining to the quarterfinals as they faced out with Chipolo Polo from Zambia. This is a rare opportunity that has expressed itself at this point in time when the country is not so much united in terms of Kenyans pursuing what they need to attain to as a country. But it appears that we are united in football and sports generally, as usual, where we never disappoint in terms of the Kenyan spirit and our wholeheartedness, throwing our weight behind our national team. This is good news, even as political leaders also find their space into this particular place where their support for the national team is conspicuous than ever. Like we speak right now, all the players are now smiling their way to the bank as President Ruto promises 2.5 million to each player. And then Raila Odinga promises 500,000 for each player. And it looks like football in Kenya is now paying. Congratulations again to Harambee Stars. And we're here to analyze what has happened. Is it only the money that is the motivation for this exemplary performance? Or something is cooking with a new coach and the new technical bench that is putting together what is facing out the football giants that have reigned and led the way all through. I'm excited as a Kenyan and happy for the great performance of Harambee Stars, as well as the involvement of political leaders. Although there are some funny moves, although I'm told it's because of the regulations that are placed there by the head bodies. And so Kenyans are not all allowed to get to Kasarani and witness the match live. And so there is some, what is it called? Distribution of crowds by setting strategic areas where Kenyans can congregate and watch on the screen. At the archives, I also saw something in Kibra as well as other places. And so it appears the scheming or the planning is working out well. And we're excited to be part of this great happening in our country. I want to thank all of you for your faithful support and continued followership. apologies for not having been able to come up on the show for more often as usual. I have not been feeling well, and so I had to take a break. And Shadizo is also back. He had gone away, but I'm happy that we are here. We can converse again on matters politics and now football. Now, with that is going on, the Ruto Raila unity seems to be crystallizing by now proposed joint parliamentary meeting of UDA and ODM, led and chaired by both Ruto and Raila. What is this pointing to? And is it where the future is, or is the misplaced place for the future of this great country? I look forward to engaging with the different Kenyans on the same as they give their different views. Okay, we have those that have the opinion that the Raila-Ruto agreement seems not to be with the majority of Kenyans, and so they are sitting not ease with this particular arrangement. And one of the things that is playing right in the public is an imminent split in the ODM, the biggest party in the country. And it's all geared towards the association, the linking of UDA and ODM in this arrangement, which was an emergency break to secure the country until it comes to the place of the general elections. But it appears as far reaching, our outcomes and focus that seems to want to preserve the Ruto presidents beyond 2027, something that Kenyans cannot, Kenyans are not happy with the leadership of William Ruto. And so I want to hear what your take would be on the same. But we want to also, analyze and see keenly what is at play here. Is it an emergency, or is now it has now turned into come we stay, and the UDA-ODM agreement may crystallize and become a political front that may make to the ballot together in 2027. We will need to hear what is your take on the same. While that is at play, there is some unrest between, the Kenya Kwanza remarks and the rest of the country, especially Mount Kenya. And Moses Kuria, one of the vocal and former advisor to President Ruto, has come out to take on Duale and his remarks about 2027 and 2007. And it appears that the blanket generalized vilification or generalized judgment against the Mount Kenya community is not the way to go. And I'm in total agreement. Nobody commits a crime on behalf of a community, just like nobody becomes president on behalf of a community. And if there is anything as Kenyans we need to embrace, is that if somebody does something wrong, let him be dealt with as an individual, and not for us to generalize and say it is the Kalenjians or it's the Kikuyus or the Luyas or the Luos. No, an individual commits crime in their capacity as individuals, and let's be mature enough to put the blame where it belongs. The issue of tribalizing politics and wanting to, attack a whole community simply because certain individuals from those particular communities have done one or two things, that should not be the case. And so if you have a problem with Gachagua, deal with Gachagua. Don't make the problem of Gachagua Mount Kenya problem. If Gachagua has Mount Kenya support, that is a different ball game. but we should, as Kenyans, learn to embrace one another, value one another, and of course, support one another, just like we're doing with Harambee Stars. I don't see any people in Kasarani asking, are you a Luo, are you a Luya, are you a Griama? We are all together as Kenyans. And so let's rally together as Kenyans and work together as Kenyans, not in occasions, but for life, for life. And we should separate and differentiate between individual passion, individual ambition, and community perception, of course, community pursuits. One place that I have had very much reservations is when we seek for presidency on behalf of our community. We seek for national office on behalf of our community. That is not how it should go. I need to look for, like, if I'm running for presidents, I'm running for president because I have a vision to transform Kenya and make Kenya viable, useful, and profitable for all Kenyans. Not on behalf of my Luya community or on behalf of my Shemeji Luos or on behalf of my other cousins. That is not the way to go. The way to go and the future of this country lies in our ability to forget ourselves long enough to think about someone else. The moment we transit into that, then we are fit for national leadership. But as long as we are still in the grip of our tribal madness and tribal pursuits, tribal interests, we are not fit for national leadership. And that is why we should not be allowed to see that seat where the national cake is being shared, because you will go there and share it to your community and leave the rest of Kenyans to suffer. Thank you, everyone. Please, I want to urge you to invite somebody as we start this great conversation. Thank you so much. Kumbusha watu, show imerudi, tuko hapa, tunachambua siasa zetu ipasavyo. Naomba tuanze na hiyo story ya tutaanza na story gani? Harambee Stars, alafu moja kwa moja tukaingilie sasa masuala ya ODM na UDA. Hii mambo inakwenda vipi na hivi ndivyo ama sivyo? An important aspect of looking at the whole scenario. Okay, let's now, where is this? Okay, one moment. Here we go.
You know, this is a wonderful show, and we are truly happy. The nation is happy. I told you, Kenyans are supporting you from every corner, the streets, the farms, everywhere. And thank you very much for lifting our country and our status very high.
I decided to come and say Hungary. We are all very worried that if we draw or lose, you're going to play out of Nairobi. I don't want to play in front of our fans here.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
Second half is going to be different.
Yes.
And that's what happened.
Yes.
You start practicing the other side and keep them all the time on the side.
Yes.
And eventually you score.
Yeah.
So Hongera son.
Right. Boss. Very well done. Our Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for this evening. Thank you for this team, Team Kenya, Team Harambee Stars. We want to commit these good citizens of our country, these good players, to your good hands. As they play, protect them, Heavenly Father. Give them success in all the remaining games. We pray for our nation. Thank you for the funds that have come through for them to support them. Thank you for all who have come to support these young people of our nation. Thank you for their families. We want to pray over their lives that you will make them successful, even in this game, that they will inspire other young people to be good players. Lift our nation up, Heavenly Father. Lift these young men so that they can lift our nation. We pray over their lives. We pray over the games that are ahead. Father, we want to pray that when we get to the finals, you will give us victory. In Jesus' name we pray.
Okay, a rare occasion there where President Ruto and Raila Odinga visiting with the team to congratulate them for the great win against Zambia. And not only that, their exemplary performance throughout this CAF tournament. Harambee Star has played like never before. I can't remember the last time we came this far, and we are still moving on to the next level. And I would want to hear what is your take on this. What is behind the exemplary performance of Harambee Stars? Are we getting back to the Harambee Stars of the 80s when football was still football in Kenya? And somebody asked me, my friend Robinson asked me, where is JJ Masika and alikuwa anaitwa Mohamed Mulamba and who else? We had a laughing session as he brought up back those 80s team names here and there, and Joe Kadenge and the rest of the players. So those of you that are old timers, you get those to relate to those names. Well, karibu kwa show. Naomba tafadhali tumakinike kukaribishana, toa maoni yako, na kama unakuja show, link ya kutumia iko hapo kwa comment section. Click on it, allow StreamYard to configure for you the camera as well as the audio, and be in this space for us to speak. I'm waiting for wavyele wetu waje tukazungumze masuala haya jinsi yalivyo. But I just want us to have a close, a range in terms of looking critically. What do you think is behind this exemplary performance of Harambee Stars? Is it the new coach? Is it the technical bench? Or is it the players have just, sold themselves out? I wouldn't want to buy into what almost everyone is talking about, the money being the motivation. But there is something cooking. We have had money all along in terms of promises. But the performance has not gone as excellent as this. So is it the new coach, or what is happening with Harambee Stars? And we believe that they will pull through and get to as far as they can get. So I need to hear, what do you think? Weka comment yako, weka maoni yako hapo kwa comments, alafu tutai-voice out. Kama unaingia studio, link ya kutumia nishaweka kwa comment section. Wote wanaotufuata kwa TikTok, samahani, hatuwezi kuwaunganisha moja kwa moja, lakini ukiandika maoni yako hapo chini, tutaweza kuyasoma, alafu Wakenya wengine watayasikiza. Tuko live YouTube, Sound Candy Talk live YouTube channel, as well as Sound Candy Talk of Facebook page. Thank you for following us. Kenya is a unique country, in my opinion, and when Kenya wants to do something well, it really does well. They don't disappoint. The moment Kenyans put their minds in something and want that thing done and done excellently, it usually pulls through. One of the things that is a disappointment and unmaking for this country is our bad leadership. Our bad leadership. If we had sound leadership and that can rally the country behind a cause, that cause will always succeed. And so we, as much as we are opinionated and we are defiant, defined as defiant as a people, we know when to say no to division, no to disunity, and get united on a particular venture. And when that is done, success is everywhere. And I would invite especially our political leaders to take stock and take lessons from what's happening at Kasarani, what's happening with our national team, and what's happening in the country by reason of the national team. If there is a worthwhile cause, Kenyans don't disappoint. And so this constant push and pull and constant fights in the name of politicians wanting to box us in a particular place and want to force us to follow a particular path, that's not what happens. If you really want Kenyans behind you and you want Kenyans to help you get where you need to get, give them reason. Give them sufficient reason why they should follow you. Be convincing enough to show them that you're the man for the job, and they will rally behind you. And so I really would want to help, especially political leaders, to take stock and learn what's happening with our national team can be translated into everything and every policy that is brought, as long as those policies and those ventures are pro-people. Pride of Kenya and the pride of our people is in the good name that we have earned in the eyes of the rest of the world. But this good name doesn't come easy. It needs to be labored for. And so the shortcuts to fame and shortcuts to greatness that negates the responsibility that comes along with the same is one of the unmaking of our country by reason of those people want to honor but don't want to earn the place, their way to the place of honor. We want to be respected as leaders, but we don't want to carry ourselves as leaders. And I'm saying this, I'm happy Musimamo is here, it will help me on the same. I'm saying this because if you talk to the football team, the Harambee Stars, and the way they have performed, or the way they have, the way they are doing on the forefront, it has not come easy. They have been there, they have been in the field, they have been, giving out themselves in practicing and ensuring that they hone and sharpen their skills to become excellent. So the support of the nation for the national team is not just because the national team is called Harambee Stars, and it's not just because it's a national team. There has taken some investment in there. People have devoted themselves to a particular cause. They have shown themselves to be committed to a particular cause. And so Kenyans can easily rally behind them. What is disturbing our nation is when leaders have come from nowhere or they have been horrible in their performance. Horrible in their performance, I mean, we can't pinpoint anything they have achieved, but they pay their way or bribe their way to the highest office, and then they reach there and they begin to demand that we should respect, we should support, we should agree, and all that. This is the hypocrisy that needs to be stopped in our country. And so I can clearly say here that Wakenya hawajagawana. We are not divided. If you give us reason to unite, we can reunite. And if you give us reason to pull in one direction, we can pull in one direction. We are not so divided that we can't work together and we can't play together as a team. And so I would that we should overcome the political deceit and the political madness that comes up to divide us and begin to tell us, wewe ni Mluya, haupasi kufanya kazi na Mjaluo, wewe ni Mjaluo, huwezi kufanya kazi na Mkalenjin, wewe ni Mkikuyu, huwezi kufanya kazi na Mgiriama. All those things needs to be buried. Why? Because Kenya is a combination of all of us together. Kenya is not Kenya without any one of us. All of us that are Kenyans form and constitute a country called Kenya. And for us to excel, we need to believe in this Kenya and be able to pull in that direction. But one place I can't tolerate any form of compromise is the quality of leaders we give to ourselves as a country. We will either be embarrassed by them or we will be glorified by the same. So let's reject compromised, substandard, incompetent leadership, and we will shine like the Harambee Stars in the tournament. Haya, msimamo, hali vipi? Siku nyingi.
Bwana, salama ndugu yangu. Sijui studio hapo. Maana ni muda kweli. Ni kweli hili kwamba binadamu si kama milima bwana. Na hata nikipotea tena nitarudi papa hapa. Lakini awali ya yote nisalimie mkuu wangu hapa Lala. Mmempeza muda sana mzee wetu Lala hapa Reverend. Kwa hiyo pokea za msimamo and the rest of wenye wanatusikiza. To me sitazungumza mengi, lakini ni bashasha kuona kwamba kumbe ama kweli kidole kitupu Bernard hakirambwi. I wish hata tungeweza kufanya hivyo awali ya yote, hata mashabiki wengi hatungesinywa. Unajua ilifikia wakati hata kuangalia Harambee Stars inakuwa ni ngori. But kwa muda kidogo huu ambao hii tunaendelea vizuri, na yote ni kwa sababu ya hali nzuri na watoto wanaamua kujitoa haswa kufanya mambo. Na hili unalizungumzia la Kenya. Kenya ni yetu wote. Kenya ni yetu wote, ni kweli kabisa kaka yangu Ben hapa. Nakubaliana na wewe 100%. Well, hii Kenya ya wengine ni lesser god au wengine ni muhimu zaidi. Hii inafaa kupitwa na wakati. Maana tukijifunza soka kile ambacho kinaendelea soka katika field, pale ni mchanganyiko wa jamii zote ziko pale na wako kwa lengo moja tu la ushindi, lengo moja la kuhakikisha kwamba tunasimama nao tunafika quarter finals. Na tungefanya hivi hata kwa mambo yetu ya maendeleo na masuala mazima na siasa. Yani tukatoa umbali haswa ukabila, tukatoa umbali hawa wako hivi wale wako hivi, watu wakakaa na wakufikiria nchi yetu ni muhimu, kwamba kila jamii hapa na wajibu wa kuweza kulijenga hili taifa. Unaona, so sitaki kwenda mbali zaidi, wacha tu ni talk kidogo tu, lakini narudi mpe tu mzee Lala, then nina mengi ya kuzungumza kaka yangu, niweke mitambo yangu sawa, then I'll get back here. Kale.
Sawa. Asante sana msimamo, tunashukuru, utangulizi mzuri. Ladies and gentlemen, tunapoendelea tafadhali makinika kukaribisha mtu, kumbusha mtu show imerudi na tuko hapa kung'amua mambo yetu kwa maneno yetu, kwa lugha yetu, kwa sababu hii ni nchi yetu na lazima tuisimamie kwa vyovyote vile. Na washukuru wote ambao mnajiunga nasi kwa TikTok. Tafadhali tujitahidi kushare hiyo live, alafu kulike video, thumbs up kwa YouTube as well. Tafadhali usitazame tu na usitazame peke yako. Tunakutegemea kuwa na watazamaji wengi kwa kipindi, na kwa sababu kipindi cha muhimu masuala tunayozungumza ni ya muhimu na lazima tujifunze moja kwa mwingine. Asante sana. Naomba tafadhali sasa tumlete mzee wetu Reverend Lala. How are you today?
Oh, niko salama, Bernard na wenzetu wote. Msimamo nimemwona hapo na nashukuru Mwenyezi Mungu for protecting us, and I think we have talked a little bit, but all of you supported me at the passing of Mom. Thank you very much. Maybe many of you have not heard my voice, but I just want to say thank you for those prayers, for other tangible financial support. Everything went well, and we thank God that Mom has rested. And so I'm back. I think I've been coming sporadically, that is. But I'm just trying to settle so that I can be more frequent. Otherwise, tuko salama, asante sana. First of all, now I want to say congratulations, hongera to Kenyan team. I was unable to watch because I was busy with the church, but I was keeping up with what was happening, and the victory belonged to all of us. You know, it's not all of us who went to the field, but they were doing it on behalf of all of us. They had us in their mind that we are behind them, and we gave them that moral support, and they brought us victory. I think in Nikelelezo kwamba we can, if we do it together, we will win. This reminds me of some birds. You know, I live in a place called Ohio, and our national bird or state bird is an eagle, a golden eagle. Okay, eagles are powerful birds, and eagles live on the mountains. They are respected and feared by all birds because they are the king of the air. But there are things eagles cannot do. Eagles don't travel far. If one is hatched in Ohio, most likely it will die right here in Ohio. They are very solitary birds. They are, eagle anakuwa na territory yake. Huwezi ingia hapo, ako hapo tu. And we have a very bad weather. We call it severe winter. And so when winter comes, an eagle is there. And no wonder we don't have very many of them, because some of them die during winter time. So we don't have you can't see many eagles. There are few here and there. But if you contrast it with a bird like the seagulls, or birds that you can see traveling together, a group of them, you can see them way up in the air, making a beautiful shape, and they're moving together. I don't know what you call them in your own vernacular, but the type of bird like seagulls, they travel together. Ndio wanatembea pamoja kama the same family, okay? And when they are traveling together, you will see one leading, ukienda kule juu, and usually certain time of change of weather. Sometimes they travel miles and miles and miles. You find them in Africa. Next time they are those migratory birds. You see them in South America. And when I come to my hometown of Oma Bay, there are a lot of birds there. But those birds, there are some which have been tagged. Some go to Scandinavia. They, just travel, but they travel together. Usually one leads. When the leader is tired, they just move back, and the other one takes over. They don't care whether it's a Luya or a Luo or a Kamba, whatever it is. All they know that we are traveling together, and the leader's a leader. When they're tired, they go back, another one gets in the front. And they will go for miles and miles and miles and avoid the winter, which kills all those strong, powerful eagles. Okay, they're powerful, but you see, they don't escape winter because they don't know how to travel together. Okay. And so when we look at that compared to our country, Kenya, okay, a part of our struggle has been, our problem has been some people who think that they can do it alone, or they are meant to be the leaders. They have to produce the president. They have to produce this and this and that. So from independence, we see that certain communities, certain persons are the ones who are favored. And when you're favored, of course, around where you come from tend to be favored. And so we find ourselves trying to run as a country, but others feel like simamwa alisema kuna wengine wanajisikia kama sio part of the country. So one of the things that I think can help us kama wa Kenya ni kuwa to travel together. This Harambee team is traveling together. I didn't even know many stars in that team, but they are all stars because they are tapping the ball to each other. They are doing it together and they're winning together. Okay. And that is God's way to tell us, you know, that we Kenyans cannot win together, cannot win if there's a solo player. You know, when I was growing up, all of us wanted to become Kadenge. Kadenge na mpira. Every child is a Kadenge. You know? And Kadenge was known to have the ball and he can control the ball and people would fall down. He would anachenga wadu. Kadenge moja. You just want to hear that name Kadenge na mpira. But you see, no matter how great Kadenge is, a great player, but unless he shares the ball, unless there is a teamwork where there's a presidency. At this time in Kenya, we should have had a school of ex-president, you know, whether it was Raila who was the president, whether it was Ruto, whether it was Mudavadi and others, they already could have had, you know, opportunities. As in other words, each one will bring a particular profile to that leadership. You know, some people are good at administration, they bring that administrative part. Others good as, you know, visionary, sharing the vision and people catching it. Others support, you know, leadership is shared. That's how we share those profiles and we make a country stronger so that we can run far. Now, when it is kept on one side, it doesn't really matter because right now we talk of one term and all these things, but it seems to me that we don't know what we want. I don't know what we want. Imperial leaders, or we want somebody to come from a particular place, or, you know, let's know what we want. What we don't want, we also should know. We don't want a thief. We don't want someone who will hold the presidency in one place. When one group only are the ones who want to be president, no, it should not be. So we want somebody who is a team player, sharing the ball, and able to have a winning strategy, which means it inspires all of us to be winners, okay? Or she, whoever the person we choose to be a leader. So I think even this channel is about, I believe it's about, many of us, is about that. We want to win, all of us. Not you go to a place and you're ashamed to be a Kenyan. And it is true. There are places you go there and you wonder, is this really Kenya? Is this really a place that has been independent for a long time? Because nobody cares about them, what they eat, whether they die, and they die every single day. They don't die because they don't have food here and there all the time, but there's no health care. You know, in sanitary issues, you know, opportunities to provide for themselves, even balanced food is not there. So they're softly dying quietly, no goals, no hope. Okay, and they have MPs, they have chief, they have a president, they pay taxes whenever they go out, but services do not come to those places. That is why we are here. That's why we want to talk to Kenyans to know that things can be done better. We can be team players. Those Harambee young men, the reason why they're won, number one, they're eating well. Number two, they're sleeping well. Number three, their financial challenges are being taken care of. Number four, they are protected. Okay, you look at everything that makes a winner. Okay, They have it right now. That's why they're winning. If they have dysentery, they can't go to the hospital, they won't win. Okay, so let us be realistic. There is no miracle to leadership. There's no miracle to building a nation. We got to work hard and provide the services necessary that is needed. If there's a tax money, that tax should not be touched by anybody who is not meant for it. Okay, so that money is supposed to take care of Kenyans. Popote walipo lazima serikali, because they have a right to care, to job, to good health care, that is, right to safety. Those are rights. Those are not privileges. Okay, and they have traded what they had. You know, some of them used to be rich on land. They sold the land to pay taxes and take their kids to school, to go to the hospital and others. So basically, they trusted in the Project Kenya, but we have literally robbed them. We have literally stolen from them. And it is sad to see those thieves riding helicopters, you know, on vast amount of property when they are civil servants. Okay, they're not businessmen. And if they're business people or science, whatever they're doing it, there is nothing that they have produced or invented to warrant the money that they are making. We don't know any of these people, apart from Mwale and few other people whose names we can identify, know that they're making all this money. So we have majority of thieves when you think about it. So that's where the problem comes in. But politics in Kenya kind of cheapen that, protects those people. In the name of our this, our that, in the names of one community holding certain amount of power. So I think whatever is going on right now, let us critique it, you know, give the critic, you know, critique the whole thing. And if it's wrong, please, every Kenyan, don't support that. Don't pay bribe. Don't do any of those terrible things that are hurting us. Let us be team players. Let's share the ball. Let's do it together. When you win, I win. When we all win together, whatever's happening with us, diamond discovered or gold discovered, that is for all of us. We will all benefit from it, because taxes will come out of, you know, the money comes out of those when they're taxed. And that tax is supposed to help me, who is going to school in Turkana, who is going to school in Homa Bay and other places. And let's do this as a shared responsibility and shared prosperity, and it can be done. So Bernard, that's what I wanted to say. But Shukrani, Harambee Stars, we're so proud of this team. This makes everybody smile. Back to you, Bernard.
Exactly. Thank you, Lala. And maybe just a follow-up question on the general overview of the Kenyan leadership structure. We seem to be always running away from being team players or building up a team that is Kenya and viable for the service to the Kenyan people. Drawing a parallel with the, you remember the first cabinet for Mwai Kibaki in 2002, 2003, when Kenyans were voted to be the most optimistic people in the world at that point in time. It had that dream team, then it had an all-compassing cabinet, and the performance of the government, especially in delivery of services, just, you know, became so, you know, easily accessible, and the economy turned around. Then thereafter, I think in 2004, thereabout, now that tribal ugly face started to resurface, and corruption now comes in, and then the running to protect the presidency comes into play, and we lost that dream Kenya, and we become now the Mount Kenya Mafia saying this man should be stopped, this man should be curtailed, this man should be done this. What brings about this? Is it insecurity? Is it incompetence? Or are we just afraid of Kenya being one and every Kenyan being reliable and trusted to for the president to be safe in the hands of any Kenyan? It doesn't have to be from his tribesmen.
Okay. Bernard, that's a very good question. Let me put my hat as a psychologist. Okay, let me answer it from a psychological perspective. The reason, the very first reason for optimism that we had after Kibaki's election, very first reason was, one, people felt there was fairness. It was a fair election. That opened people up, okay? People began to see the willingness to step out and to trust, okay, the process, that this is working for us. And that by itself was a message to the world that Kenya is a place where you can trust, either with your wealth or with your family, with other things. So it almost like lifted us to a different level we've never been for a long time, because the perception then of African government, this is a bad government, you can't put your money there, they are corrupt, they steal election and all that. That was the message. But for the first time, we saw a transparent, a fair election. We knew Kibaki won. So no one had any doubt. And people put their trust in the system. Yes, Kibaki was a great manager of leader, you know, in economic sense, but the system allowed him to do what he did because it opened up the country to the possibilities of development and growth. So I think, to me, that was number one reason for the optimism, number one reason for trust. Secondly, it allowed Kenyans to begin to think in terms of a united people. One nation, we can defeat dictators. There's nothing we cannot do. When you've done it, then there's nothing we can do. So we talked about the new constitution, okay, that came in. And so the message was to the world that it's a new dawn, it's a new day. And of course, that gave us that thrust, that move, leap forward. And now, what started to bring us down is when those opportunities people thought they had began to shrink. When you start moving towards your tribesmen, when you're moving back to a place where certain part of the country was never opened up, when you start playing with the constitution that people thought would help, okay? And that began to almost discourage, take people back to where they come from, to be protecting themselves. And usually when people do that, most likely the business, the social and every aspect of it begin to suffer, okay? And that, to me, is the bigger reason. And of course, Kibaki had a good understanding of how economy works. He had capital, or the human capital or financial capital, whatever it is, to work with. The world opened their wallet and pockets. So there are a lot of things that now could happen, whether it's a free education, okay, whether those promises, there was funding for them. You may have great promises, it's no funding, and there's nothing better when you go to the world, market and show what you have. A free economy, a country that is optimistic, that is different from the rest, you will get money at a very low, almost zero interest. You see Israel getting that money, and because they trust that system, so when they go to the market, well, they're able to get cheaper money to work with, and not too expensive one. So there are different factors that allowed us to tap into a good economy. And then now with the Kibaki, he was able to select right people to run the system. And he gave them that authority to be able to use their training, their gifts, whatever, to do the right kind of, follow the right kind of policies and right means to achieve what he was able to help the country achieve. So in my mind, Kibaki inherited a very healthy environment, I would call it environment, to make the miracle that he was able to do. And so you had the thicker highways and others because funding was there, and because of right people are doing the right kind of thing. And of course, we squandered it. So to me, I think the people that got in there, and secondly, corruption, began to come back, get back, because there was money to steal. Okay, and then we lost our way. So I think that, to me, that's my general understanding of why things, we lost it. We lost it because of corruption. And with corruption and tribalism, just call it what it is. That should not be allowed. And because that tribalism impacted certain areas. There are people that we don't want to give them jobs, not because, jobs are not there, but they don't have enough qualified people to run for those jobs because we have not supported those regions. So how can we blame them, whether they come from Turkana and other places, when we actually are the one that block them from accessing their own taxes? And that's where the problem comes in, because even some people now fighting for Kenya, but I don't know which Kenya they want. They want us to go back to a place where other places were shut out of the economy, or they want us to get to Kenya we're talking about, free of corruption, able to work as a team and to develop each and every part. Because if you develop any part of this country, it's good for everybody. Okay, so that's my worded answer for that comment that you made.
Okay.
Like the question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for that elaborate answer. And we'll be digging further in the same direction, and probably we'll get to the root of what really eats up this country. Behind tribalism, there are some fears. There are some maybe some vendetta, hard-seated hatred for particular regions or particular communities. In the process, we end up losing the most important part because of our petty differences that don't count much when it comes to the betterment of this great country. And so the lessons that you have raised on Harambee Stars is something I would invite every Kenyan to relook at seriously. This aspect of us getting into leadership, and the first thing we do is who should we target, who should we eliminate, who should we remove from the table before we begin to eat. That approach and that attitude needs to be buried so that we can take off as a country. And just like before Nilete Msimamo, I've been thinking, when we opened university in Mount Kenya, Kimathi University, we have some other universities that have come up, Mount Kenya universities. We don't in any way say that because this is a Kikuyu region, we can only hire Kikuyu professors. I see most of those universities that have come up, their heads were not tribal. They were not from that particular community. They look for competence. They want this professor this person to be the one to, run that particular university. The same goes for hospital. You don't care which the doctor is it should be a Kikuyu to run a hospital in Kikuyu, or to be in charge of a hospital in a particular region. So our consideration of competence is not anything new. We do it every day. When it comes to education, we want a competent teacher, want a competent principal, want a competent wherever chancellor. But when we go to politics, we forget all these things and want anything and everybody to be allowed to go simply because he has a support base. So when we bury the aspect of demanding that somebody must meet a particular criteria, must be of sound mind, must be of sound character, must be integrous, must be faithful, they call that political witch hunt, that they are targeting our community. They are stopping our community from entering into power because they are demanding this and this. And so this madness of us trying to mess a good position that is required to help the entire country, we now use our tribal madness to stop a competent person so that an incompetent person comes in, and then we can continue with the usual corruption that has eaten this country. And so as Kenyans, kama vile hao wachezaji wa Harambee Stars wanachaguliwa, yule aliye bora ndio anaenda kucheza, yule anaizidi wengine, huyo ndio anaongoza katika timu. Mbona tusifanye hivyo katika siasa? Ikifika hapo mnaanza kuruka, ambia hii ni nafasi ya Waluya. Nafasi ya Waluya inaonewa. Kwa nini wanataka kufukuza Waluya kwa chama? Msimamo, karibu.
Asante tena kwa mara ya pili. Asante sana kwa hilo swali, lakini nitakuwa sijatenda vyema kama sijamsalimia dada yangu Tuni kule na Juliet Musalia na wengine wote wanatufuatilia. Unajua siasa ya Kenya ndo kilele cha kutengeneza mapeni. Pindi unapokuwa mwanasiasa, basi hapo ndio umepata fursa ya kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba wewe na mapeni basi ni sako kwa bako. Unaona? So for real, kwa kulikuza hili kwa sababu limetumiwa na kama vile ambavyo mmezungumza kwamba wanasiasa mbona wasije haswa katika mfumo mzima ule kwamba mwenye utendaji kazi bora, basi haijalishi ametoka wapi, ametoka kabila lipi, ili mradi anaweza ongoza taifa, anaweza ongoza sehemu fulani, basi. Lakini sasa haiwi hivyo kwa sasa, kwa sababu siasa imeletwa kwamba tusipokubaliana mapendekezo yangu, basi unakuwa ni adui kwangu. So kama hayo mapendekezo ni mabaya, basi for instance naweza nikatoa mfano hapa kipindi nimepotea, kulikuwa na mikutano hapa na pale, nikabahatika kumuuliza mbunge wangu, mbona tulikuchagua na pande huu na ukamua kwenda? Akaniambia tu simple, nimeenda kule kwa sababu nikiwa karibu na serikali basi ndio nitaweza kupata maendeleo. So nikajiuliza hilo swali kwamba tukiwa karibu na serikali ndio unapata maendeleo. Really? Unaona? So shughuli kama hii. Lingine kubwa zaidi ni hili ambalo ndo lilikuwa linaenezwa kwamba sisi watu wa mahali fulani mfano hatuweza kuchangia haswa hii serikali kwa kiasi kikubwa cha kura. Kwa hiyo mapendekezo haya na haya lazima yafuatwe kwa minajili ya watu wetu. Ukitazama hao watu si wao bali baadhi ya wanasiasa ambao wanajificha ndani, kisingizio ni kuwa watu wetu. Ushaona? Maana hata hili ulizungumza kwamba watu wetu wanaonewa, utakuta si watu wanaonewa, ni mtu fulani pengine akafanya hili ama akafanya lile, sasa ndo akajificha kwa watu wake. Sasa akisema ni sisi watu wa fulani tunalengwa, ushaona, wakati yeye mtu mmoja pengine ndo anayeharibu mahali. Unaona? Na hili la kwamba sisi watu wa mahali fulani aidha sisi ndio tumeongoza kuleta kura asilimia hii, kwa hivyo lazima tuhesabike katika serikali hii, hata kama watu wetu hawapo, lazima hawawezani haswa katika nyadhifa hizo, lazima wahesabike. Na cha mwisho kikubwa zaidi kinachoua ni taasisi zetu hazina msingi, yani hazina mahali ambapo taasisi husika ambazo zina muhimu haswa kupewa nafasi inakuwa ngumu. Unaona, nafasi inakuwa ngumu. Ushaona kwamba zinakuwa sasa ziko kiganjani kwa mtu kama Tungendo ni kiongozi, kwa mfano ni mkuu wa nchi ama ni mdogo wa mkuu wa nchi ama ana nyadhifa kubwa serikalini, basi anazibania mbavu kuzipa ruhusa ama nafasi ya kuweza kutekeleza kazi kwa minajili ya taifa. So masuala kama haya ndio ambayo wameleta siasa yetu sasa kuwa mbaya zaidi, na yote ni kwa sababu ya wachache. Lakini matarajio ya Wakenya hayana ubaguzi, hayana cha ukabila. Kila anahitaji Mkenya ni kuhakikisha kwamba aidha hospitali zetu ziko na madawa ya kutosha na hakuna vipingamizi vile na vile, kwamba huduma inapatikana kisawasawa. Haja ya Mkenya ni kuona kwamba rasilimali zake zinatumika vilivyo, kwamba ndio hata kama anatozwa ushuru, lakini ushuru ule anauona ukitengeneza maneno. Ushaona? Na hiyo ndo haja kubwa ya Mkenya. Yani tunaweza ngasema kwa asilimia kubwa wenye kuharibu ni hawa wanasiasa ambao wanajikita ndani ya wananchi wao na kusingizia kwamba mimi ninaonewa jamani, so msipojitokeza basi huenda mambo yakaharibika katika jamii yetu, ili hali pengine mtu alioboronga ni yeye mmoja ama watu wawili ambao mapendekezo yao ama matarajio yao hayakukubalika. So mimi niteleka katika hiyo hali, na cha kujifunza kikubwa zaidi ni kwamba ni kama vile huu mpira kwamba wale wazuri ndio ambao wamepewa nafasi, na nafasi zile sasa hivi tunaona wanazitumia vizuri. Hii soka ilikuwa imeingizwa ukabila, imeingizwa ubaguzi. Watu baadhi ndio tunawaona hata kama hawafai, hawawezi, lakini kwa sababu watu wao ama ni jamii fulani basi ndio wanapewa nafasi ile. But this time around unaona kuna mchanganyiko wa watu tofauti ama vijana tofauti, na mambo yamekuwa vizuri licha ile ahadi ambayo mimi inanitilia mashaka kwa pesa hii ambayo imeahidiwa kwa wao wachezaji, lakini ni nyingi mno. Lakini pia limewapa msukumo kwamba let's fight, kwa sababu mwisho wa siku pia tutaweza kujipatia mkate mwisho wa siku. So for real mimi nitaachia pale Bernard. Kwa hiyo mwenye kuharibu hii ngoma ni wanasiasa wachache. Wanasiasa waliona kwamba ukiwa kwa siasa wewe kama umekuwa fukara basi kwa kweli ni kujitakia wewe mwenyewe, lakini njia ya kuheshimika katika taifa ni wanasiasa, maana kwa kila jambo wewe utakuwa haupo. So mimi nitaachia pale kakaangu Bernard nili nimpe mzee wetu walala. Asante.
Okay, asante sana msimamo, tunashukuru kwa hilo. Nashukuru kwa hiyo example ya mbunge wako na jibu lake, na hiyo inaonyesha vile tumezidiwa ama tumenaswa na kasumba ya katiba ya kale, ambako hata baada ya miaka 10 plus ya katiba mpya bado tunafikiria tu na kutekeleza mambo yetu tukitumia dhana za kale ambazo zilikuwa lazima ukue kwa executive ama ukue kwa chama tawala ndio upate maendeleo, ile ambayo mzee Moi alikuwa anatumia siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya, siasa nzuri, maisha mazuri. Meaning support the government, get development. Oppose the government, be denied development, be denied access to government resources. Na ni kusikitika kwamba mtu ni mbunge msomi, anaelewa katiba, anaelewa sheria, lakini bado anaendelea na utamaduni ambao uko kinyume na katiba na uko kinyume na sheria, hivi kwamba no development should go anywhere because the executive is your friend. Kikatiba kila sehemu ya nchi hii iko entitled kwa development, iwe ndani ya serikali ama nje ya serikali. Na kama vile mzee wetu Jakindube alisema, sisi wote ni wa Kenya na serikali inaitwa serikali ya Kenya. So sisi wote tuko kwa serikali kwa sababu serikali ni ya nini? Ni ya Kenya. Lakini hii ubaguzi wa kuanza kusema kwamba kwa sababu wewe si wa UDA hauwezi kuletewa maendeleo. Lazima kuwe na mkataba katikati ya UDA na ODM ndio watu wa ODM wapate maendeleo, ama kuwe na mkataba kati ya Mlima na Rift Valley ndio watu wa Mlima na Rift Valley wapate maendeleo. Hii swala la kutumia siasa kama njia ya kugawa wa Kenya, tutakubali iendelee mpaka lini? Kwa sababu kwangu mimi kile ninachoelewa, you seek for national office or presidency even as a political party, but in your mind and in your agenda is on how to serve Kenyans better. Kama vile competition tulikuwa tunafanya shule ya upishi, okay? You go to the kitchen, you make the best of the meal because you want the people eating the meal to enjoy the meal. Nobody cooks the meal to make sure that nobody eats the meal. Unatengeneza hicho chakula na unataka kujivunia hicho chakula kwa sababu wale watakaokila watakifurahia. So unapika ukiwa katika mind yako na wale ambao watakaotumia hicho chakula. Mbona si tukiingia katika siasa tunaenda kutafuta urais, tukishaupata tunataka kutumia sasa kama kizuizi, okay? Tuzuie huyu asikule, tuzuie huyu asipate, tuzuie huyu asipate ili hawa wapate. Na hiyo ndio imekuwa siasa yetu from 1960. Kuanzia na Jomo Kenyatta. Yeye anaingia, anapewa nafasi, wewe ndio mkubwa wetu, wewe ndio mzee wetu, tuongoze. Lakini kuingia tu hivi anaanza kupagua wana maumau waende kwao. Wale ambao hawana hela wakae kwao, wakae kando. Haya mashamba, hakuna shamba ya bure. Naleta hii kwa sababu historia yetu inaonyesha hivyo. So yule mtu badala akuwe baba anayeunganisha Wakenya wote, aweke wote pamoja. Na kama we ni baba ama mzazi mzuri, unaangalia wanyonge kabisa, mnyonge, yule mtoto ambaye hawezi kung'ang'ana na wengine kung'ang'ania chakula, huyo ndio unamwekea chakula chake kando, ukamwekee kando kwa sababu unamsaidia, wewe ndio baba. Inakuaje wewe ukiwa baba wa nchi unataka kula na wale ambao ni wanene, wale ambao wako na afya, na hao wengine ambao wamedhoofika, wale ambao wamekuwa denied, wale ambao wamekuwa marginalized, wanaendelea kuwa marginalized? Hiyo ndio uongozi wa aina gani? Na ni kipi ambacho kinasababisha haya mambo yote? Kwa sababu it has gone on for too long. 60 years is a long time. Is there hope for us to reverse this? And when will this change? Lala, kabla ya ujibu swali langu, tusikilize tu haya yanayopangwa katikati ya UDA na ODM na vile yanavyoleta inaitwa tumbo joto katika masuala ya siasa. Kuna ile kukisia kwamba kutakuwa na mgawanyiko ama migawanyiko yameanza kuonekana katika chama cha ODM. Let's listen to this and Lala will respond to the question even as we continue the conversation. In the meantime, karibisha mtu makinika kufuata yale ambayo yanaendelea hapa, na like video, aswa wale ambao watu wangu wa nguvu wa TikTok, likes zimekwama hapo 500. Hebu tujitahidi kufikisha kule tunapaswa kufikisha 3K plus. And then asante sana kwa gifts, tuendelee hivyo hivyo.
And in just a few hours, the United Democratic Alliance and the Orange Democratic Party will be firming up their political marriage through their very first joint parliamentary group meeting to be co-chaired by the party leaders. Now, among the key highlight of the meeting will be a representation by the 5-member NADCO and 10-point agenda implementation oversight committee, and pundits now say that the committee is the glue that is supposed to cosmetically hold the two parties together with some semblance of commitment, as our senior reporter Ibrahim Karanja now tells us.
With only hours left to what will arguably be one of the key political highlights in President William Ruto's first term, that is the joint parliamentary group meeting between UDA party and ODM, pundits have already called it the consummation of an alliance in favor of Ruto's re-election.
Ruto and the ODM will very likely go together in the 2027 election. Very, very likely. And therefore, it's important for them to start putting their members of parliament together.
Some of the disgruntled members from ODM will likely miss the Monday meeting. ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, who by virtue of being an ODM MP and a leader in the Senate, is expected to not only sit at the meeting, but to perhaps rally the ODM troops to the meeting. While in UDA, those affiliated to impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua may be a no-show. The meeting, a major precursor to operations by the recently appointed committee to oversee the implementation of the UDA-ODM 10-point agenda and the NADCO report. On Friday, the Oversight Committee Chair, Dr. Agnes Zani, announced plans to kick off a nationwide engagement.
We'll be reaching out to the different groups and members of the public to listen to the different views, to infuse the ideas that are coming in so that we make sure that the implementation of NADCO and the 10-point agenda is achieved.
Reviews about what? About a report whose legislation is already drafted. So are they going to change the NADCO report? If they cannot change that report, what will be the value of the views they are supposed to collect?
The committee is required to issue quarterly briefs. Thus, Monday's maiden joint PG meeting will be critical not only for the alleged full implementation of the recommendations in the two documents, but also for firming up the UDA and ODM bond.
So this committee is basically an attempt to answer to the discontent within ODM. But I think it has nothing to do with the real situation, because you can't tell us you have a committee to oversight the parliament.
However, the efficiency of this committee in overseeing the implementation is debatable.
In every respect, it was a parliamentary report. It was jointly done. In fact, it was funded and supervised by parliament. So for someone to tell us they're oversighting a product of parliament, that is, I mean, it's a joke of the century. So that committee can't oversight the parliament. Parliament is supreme. Now, in addition to that, the NADCO report, like I said before, is self-executing, that it was drafted together with the enabling legislation for its implementation.
As Monday's parliamentary group meeting consummates the political marriage between UDA and ODM, some of the political children made of the two parties' previous political stances are likely to fall off as others come on board. Who will fall off and who will join this bandwagon, especially with the prevailing political circumstances? Ibrahim Karanja, NTV in Nairobi.
Okay, the latest development there. Reverend Lala, if you're still there.
I'm here, Bernard. I'm listening to the commentaries. I think there are lots of commentaries that are, coming out of some of these speculations that are there. I'm sure ODM and UDA are cooperating on those specific 10-point agenda. But beyond that, I don't know what's going on. Somebody has to educate me. Yes, they may coordinate some services, but my thinking is to be a mistake to marry the two at this moment. I think for that to happen, there are a lot of things that need to happen first. So I don't buy into that argument. I think is ODM trying to work at this point with the UDA on certain specific things, yes, but I don't think it's beyond that. I think still ODM is still a party of its own. There are some challenges here and there because of the tension that are going on, But I'm convinced at the moment that the cooperation is about what ODM had perceived as a way to send Kenya into more confusion, whether into military rule, whatever the case may be, use. But I thought that was to stop the chaos rather than as a means of forging a new government under Ruto. I don't believe that. So I beg to get some more information. But I think there are people who would want that to be the reason. For me, I think is too early. I think it is. It does make sense for ODM to go that way. I think it's as more suicidal than anything else. I think if people are going to retain some of the working relationship for the country to go on, to go forward, I think pushing for good administration, government taking care of the needs of Kenyans, and I think that direction can claim victory for both sides. UDA might say this is what we are doing. ODM might simply say that this is what we are forced this government to do. And that means we are the one to take over leadership, this nation. And so I don't know. I don't have clear answers when it comes to where are we going right now. But so far, let me believe that it's just to give Kenya time to think about their future, plan for their future, and find the right direction to go. So I don't buy into that argument. I don't know what you think, Bernard, but I think Madam Simamo is there. I really don't think so. I don't think it's a major discussion makes any sense to me. Back to you, Bernard.
Okay. Thank you, Lala. Msimamo, tungamulie tuone haya.
Unajua hapa kuna kizungumkuti, Hii ndoa sina mashaka naye. Wasiwasi wangu ni hivi, muungano huu ni kwa sababu ya kuendelea yale ambayo tunayashuhudia kwa sasa, ama muungano huu lengo ni kuendeleza yale walikubaliana kwa Nadco report, ama ni kuhakikisha kwamba tukusaidia Bwana Ruto kurudi awamu ya pili. Tumi hili alijalikuwa na mashiko kwangu. Unajua miungano imekuwepo na kwangu sijaona tija, ni ama la msingi zaidi, kiasi kwamba hata mtu sasa hivi akisimama independent, lakini ana roho ya uzalendo, ana roho ya kutaka hili taifa lifike hatua nyingine, kwa sababu uwezo upo, nafasi ipo, rasilimali tunazo, na njia haswa za kuitafuta shilingi tunayo, kwamba kiasi kwamba hili taifa linazaenda bila huu kuhuba wa sisi tunaungana kwa sababu ya kutaka kushinda viti vingi, ama kushinda uchaguzi, ama kufanya hili na lile, kwa sababu hili limefanyika. Lakini mwisho wa siku sasa ni wale watu wangu wa karibu. Mfano unaweza leta Mzee Lala hapa, nilete na Bena, nilete na Tune, nilete na mwingine, mfano ushaona, kwa sababu sisi ndio ambao tumepigania na kuhakikisha kwamba ushindi huu umepatikana. So mwisho wa siku unakuta wanaokula ni wachache na wanaolia wengi. So huu kuhuba huu bado mimi naona bado mapema sana, na kama utakuwepo dalili ya mvua siku zote ni mawingu, basi labda kutakuwa na mgawanyiko mkubwa, kwa sababu namsikiza Sifuna yale anayazungumza, kisha mwisho wa siku nashindwa na majibu. Ushaona kwamba sasa hii ODM yani iko wapi? Iko wapi? Really iko independent, iko pale kama ODM, ama iko kinamna gani? So bado ni mapema, wao wakiungana sawa, lakini lengo kubwa ni kwa muda mfupi walioungana na kusaidiana na serikali, Wakenya wameona yapi? Kwa sababu mfano Bernard, huku kitu ambacho pengine tunajivunia ni NGCDF ambao wabunge wengi Kenya hii wanaipigia kifua kwamba sisi, lakini ukitazama sawa uasisi wa ile ni jukumu haswa la kila eneo bunge kuweza kupata hiyo hela, kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba maendeleo yanafika mashinani haswa kwa mlengo. Lakini sasa linaletwa kwamba NGCDF sasa hiyo ndio imekuwa ni silaha pekee ya mbunge kujitanua na kupiga kifua haswa katika eneo bunge lake. So mambo kama haya yanatakiwa kwamba haswa kama ni viongozi kuja pamoja sasa, waje na intention nzuri kwamba tubadilishe haya ambayo yametupiga na tuhakikishe kwamba siasa ambayo tutakuwa nayo itakuwa ni ya kujali sheria, itakuwa pia ni ya kujali na kuheshimu katiba yetu ya nchi, ili tume husika ambazo taasisi husika ambazo zinahusika haswa kusimamia mambo muhimu haswa katika taifa letu, basi zipewe mbavu, zisiwe kiganjani kwa mtu kwamba yeye aliyopo juu ndio kusema, ama wachache wako hapo juu ndio kusema, ama jamii hii ama kabila hii ndio kusema. Huu mfumo wote umetuharibikia, tumeuona mwisho wake ni wapi? Ushaona? So to me huu muungano bado ni mapema, na hata kama wataungana, lakini je, hisia za Wakenya wengi ziko wapi? Hilo ndio swali tu tunafaa tujiulize. Muungano wa hawa ODM na UDA hiyo imefanyika, si kwamba ni mara ya kwanza kuyashuhudia haya. Tumeona PNU, tumeona hiyo TNA ikiungana na PNU, si ni PNU, si ni nini, si Jubilee, mwisho wa siku ikafumu si ni Jubilee. Ushaona? So hii miungano tumeiona, lakini mwisho wa siku viongozi ni wale wale, wanajitafutia tu, wanajigeuza tu upya, lakini wale wale tuliowazoea tutawaona. Sasa imekuwa kwamba siasa kwa hizi songa mbele, na katika hii hali inanyima fursa ya wale ambao wako na roho ya kuweza kuonyesha uzalendo na kuweza kufanya kazi kulingana na mjibu wetu wa katiba na pia sheria. So to me, hawa waungane wasiungane kwangu halijaleta tija, kwa sababu swala langu kubwa ni viongozi wapi watabadilisha tafsira ya Kenya na taifa, kuweza kutuunganisha pamoja na kuondamana haswa na masuala ya corruption ambao ndio zimu linalotumaliza, na vile vile na jirani yake hapo ukabila. Hawa watu wawili hii wakipata wafumbuzi na viongozi watakaosimama nao kidedea, basi nadhani taifa letu litakuwa swafi na kila jamii itapewa nafasi ya kuweza kuenjoy matunda ya taifa lake. So huu muungano sitaki kuingilia zaidi, kwa sababu naona kwamba huo wenyewe pia baadhi yake baadaye hapo tayari kuna dalili za wenyewe hasa wa ODM kuweza kuna mgawanyiko, hawa wana mawazo haya, hawa wana mawazo haya. So for me sitaki kuingia sana deep, kwa sababu sijalifanyia uchunguzi zaidi, lakini tu nitasimamia pale kwamba waungane wasiungane. Shida ya Mkenya bado iko pale pale. Hisia za Mkenya ziko wapi? Anahitaji nini? Afanyiwe nini? Na ni nani anafaa haswa kama kiongozi ambaye ataweza kujali ili kuondoana na yale ambayo tunashuhudia sasa hivi kwamba pesa imewekwa kwa kapu moja na mwenye kuwekewa hiyo kapu ndo anaweza panga sasa wapi ataelekeza hiyo pesa. So kwa wale ambao wako upande wake basi watafaidi, na kwa wale ambao hawako upande wake hawatafaidi, na katiba yetu haijatuambia hivyo. Uongozi utachaguliwa wenye atakuchagua na ambao hawatakuchagua. Ukipashapata uongozi hao wote wanarudi kuwa kitu kimoja, kwa sababu wote nia kubwa ni huduma katika hili taifa. Haja yao kwamba maendeleo yapatikane na watu watulie kama taifa. So mimi nitaachia pale Ben, bado tuna safari ndefu ya kuweza kuona ni nani hasa ambaye ataweza kubadilisha hili taifa na lirudi katika mkumbo wake. Nitaachia hapo kaka. Asante.
Asante sana Msimamo, tunashukuru kwa maoni hayo na masomo ambayo ni muhimu kwa kila Mkenya kumakinika na kujifunza. Miungano ya kisiasa ambayo inakisiwa ama kutumika kuwa kielelezo cha kuungana kwa Wakenya ni mojawapo ya shida zetu, na vyama kufanya kazi kwa pamoja kama lengo ni kuhakikisha kwamba hakuna Mkenya atadhulumiwa, hakuna Mkenya atabaguliwa, na kila Mkenya atapata nafasi katika kuhudumiwa na serikali yake, huo ni muungano mzuri. Lakini kama miungano ni ya kulinda siasa zetu, kulinda ubinafsi wetu na kulinda mali yetu kama wanasiasa, tukipuuza matakwa na maombi ya wengi wa Wakenya, basi huo ni muungano ambao unatengeneza uadui katikati ya wananchi na viongozi. Na kama hivyo ndivyo kutakuwa, basi sioni kama tutasonga mbele kama watu ama kama nchi. Kwa hivyo ni wote ambao wanacheza siasa hii waelewe kwamba nchi ya Kenya ni nchi ya wananchi, na bila wananchi hakuna Kenya. Kwa hivyo tucheze siasa zetu, lakini tuelewe kwamba sababu ya kuwa katika siasa ni kutetea na kuhakikisha kwamba rasilimali ya nchi hii inafikia kila Mkenya pasipo kubakuliwa kwa njia moja au nyingine. Kama kweli ODM na UDA walikuja pamoja kuokoa jahazi, walikuja pamoja kustabilize ile shaking ambayo ilikuwa inafanyika katika nchi wakati ule wa Gen Z protests, ambako UDA ama serikali ya UDA ilikuwa imepigwa sawasawa kufika mahala ambapo palikuwa panatia wasiwasi. Basi kama hivyo, hiyo ndio ilikuwa sababu, sasa hivi hali iko vipi? Je, hiyo kuokoa jahazi bado kunahitajika? Ni kipi ambacho kinayumbisha serikali ya William Ruto hivi kwamba mpaka aegemee ama aombe kushikiliwa na ODM? Kama hii sio kuhusu 2027 kama vile wanavyodai, basi watuambie. Lakini kulingana na vile lugha imebadilika na vile mipango na mikakati inawekwa na kufika mahala ambapo watu hawataka kusikia la yeyote anayepinga ama anayetoa mashaka kuhusu muungano huu, then ile sababu fiche ambayo iko katika huu mkataba basi inaendelea kufichuka. Swali usiku wa leo ni kwamba, ama asubuhi ya leo, wale mko East Africa, ni kwamba itawezekana kushinikiza Wakenya waunge mkono makubaliano ya wanasiasa kinyume na hisia zao, kinyume na matakwa yao, kinyume na maoni yao ambayo yanaonyesha wazi kwamba hawana imani na uongozi wa William Ruto. Mojawapo ya jambo ambalo linastaajabisha ni msukumo na kuendelea kuhadaa wa Kenya katika hii mikutano mpya inaitwa empowerment. Na kuna kaklipu hapa, kabla nimlete Lala kusema chochote kwa hilo hiyo, ningependa kucheza hiyo klipu kisha tukaanze kudadisi hilo swala, kwa sababu mimi sina shida na uongozi wa Ruto ama Kenya Kwanza. I don't have a problem who becomes president if he is only working within the framework of the law and is doing what Kenyans need. I don't have any problem whatsoever. But wewe kukwamilia kwa ofisi lakini ufanyi kile ofisi inakupaswa kufanya, au Wakenya wanalia lakini unawaambia mcheke, sisi hapo ndio mimi nashindwa, kwa sababu you can be in the office, do what the office requires of you, nobody will complain. But if you're in the office and you're neglecting your responsibilities, or you are using that office to throw sand in the eyes of Kenyans that you are working for them when it is clear you're not, is where I don't compute on why anybody should do that. So there is this group of young people that went to State House for empowerment, and different products were presented in the name that they are giving the youth to create employment. We had a lineup of motorbikes and other wherever items. Now, after days from the experience in State House, it appears that some of those items had not been purchased and were not handed over to the young people. They were only brought out for photograph and appear that the government is sponsoring the young people. And then thereafter, the young people's names were taken, photographs were taken, they were dismissed without those items. Now, I don't get it. Kama hii ndio siasa, basi mimi sitaki siasa. Mtanisaidia nyinyi, lakini mimi sina la kusema. Wacha tusikilize clip alafu tuongee.
Okay, naomba mnisaidie, maisha yangu iko hatarini. Juu nilisema sikupata pikipiki.
Dickens Kamau Odhiambo, known as Kamau wa Kisumu, says his life is in danger.
Wanataka kuniua juu ya ukweli yangu.
After this viral video,
hiyo gari ukitoka hivi, Yesu ende nyumbani.
In which he told bunge la Mwananchi in Jacaranda Kayole that he was deceived and never got the motorbike promised to him during a State House empowerment event led by the president.
Tulitafutwa na Karen Nyamu. So venye kufika State House, wakaangalia jina yangu kwa system, jina yangu ilikuwa kila kitu. After kuangalia jina yangu tukaingia. Kuingia nikakula, sisi kata nilikula mchele na soda nikapewa.
Odhiambo says he was photographed with a motorbike and then
Rais akaongea, rais kuelezea watu, nikaenda nikaonyeshwa pikipiki, nikapigwa picha. Nikaambiwa sasa ushapigwa picha, toka tu hapo nje tukuletee pikipiki yako. Hadi nikajaribu tak ilikuwa sawa, inanguruma TVS 125.
When he asked how the motorcycle would reach him, matters took a turn.
Kwenda kwa gate, nilikuwa nangoja pikipiki. Nikaambiwa enda nyumbani, nauliza huyo askari GSU, niende nyumbani na pikipiki yangu. Nikauliza huyo askari, unajua mali naishi? Truecaller itatoa. Nauliza askari Truecaller.
Odhiambo claims his life is in danger.
Napigiwa na private number nichague vitu ngapi kwa maisha yangu, vitu 3. Niseme nilipewa kijana, tengeneza hiyo content vizuri, sema ulipewa pikipiki. Mbele ya Mungu unaambiwa niseme nilipewa na sikupewa. Naambiwa sema basi huko kwenda State House. Nikasema niseme nisikuenda State House na washaona video nilienda State House.
Collins Otwal says his group was also turned away empty-handed.
Yale proposal ambayo tuliandika ilikuwa ni media equipment. Another group walikuwa na group ya pikipiki. Wengine walikuwa na car wash. Kaongelesha yule mtu alikuwa kwa system, kaambiwa sasa itabidi muende. In a few some hours naona page ya Mheshimiwa Rais ati nduthi zimetoka State House na gate A.
The youth say the program is a scam.
Tuzi nyamaza, wanaweza niua. So nyinyi pia tafadhali naomba tu muende waambie wa Kenya, hizi pikipiki kuna pikipiki wanapeana. Kama kuna mtu alipewa pikipiki, alete logbook tuone. Wenye walikuwa State House walikuwa napewa elfu ngapi? 2.
Shukuru Ruto.
They also allege a Friday meeting at Jacaranda was staged to cool the backlash by faking the issuance of motorbikes to other youths. Senator Karen Nyamu denies any wrongdoing.
Mimi mwenyewe nilikuwa na number of groups. Specific number of groups.
How many from your side?
No, I don't need to say. All Nairobi leaders who are aligned to the president walikuwa na number of groups. Na kama ni ukweli that thing was scam ama ni games tunacheza, ni mtu mmoja peke yake anatakuwa na complain, mtu mmoja wawili on hiyo Saturday. Ni constituencies 2 peke yake walitoka na vitu na hakuna nduthi ilitoka hapo on Saturday, na walitoka nazo Sunday. You know that how we were disbursing those things
Sunday, lakini event ilifanyika Saturday.
But unajua pale lazima utoke na vitu zitoke na order.
With queries arising about the transparency of the government empowerment program, those who attended the function at State House are demanding for evidence that they indeed received the motorbikes and the goodies. Willy Lusige, Citizen TV, Umoja 2 in Nairobi.
Nisaidie kuelewa msimamo. Ilikuwa lala msimamo.
Wacha tu nimalizie kwa sababu hii simu imekata kidogo charge, nitaika kama dakika ngapi nirudi. Lakini nimalizie tu hapo kwa kusema siku zote lilofungwa unaambiwa kwamba ipo siku litekwa wazi. Yaani lilofungwa basi ipo siku litekwa wazi. Na hii ilikuwa game. Kuthibitisha hili ni zile pikipiki za stima kama tunakumbuka zilizofanywa launch katika eneo letu la Pwani huku. Up to date hatujaziona, na wale walibahatika walisema hazina uwezo na story ikatoka. So kama hizi za stima ambazo zilitengenezwa zililaunchwa huku kwetu hazikufanya, mbona nsiamini haya ya hawa vijana? So ni ukweli kwamba hivi vitu vinafanyika tu kuweza kusukuma kuonekana kwamba mambo yanaenda sawa, lakini mwisho wa siku mambo hayaendi sawa. Na kama zilitoka basi labda ziliishia haswa katika mikono ya viongozi ambao pia waliamua ni wapi kwa kuzipeleka, si kwa walengwa but kwa wale ambao ni wakaribu wao. Naweza nikasema kitu kama hivyo, mtazamo wangu kama msimamo, ambapo sasa huu ndio tepetevu na ubovu wa serikali mbovu ambao haina tija, kwa sababu uwezi ni hadaa na kudanganya kwenye media na wakati mwisho wa siku jambo halifanyiki. So lilofungwa kwenye giza basi litakuja kufunua kwenye mwangaza, kila mmoja alione. So hawa vijana mimi naweza nikasema kwa kweli kiuhakika hawakupewa. Hii ilikuwa ni plan, wapige picha ionekane kwamba vijana wamekuwa wako pamoja kuzima joto la fikra ya wengi ambao vijana walikuwa wamecharuka wakisema kwamba sasa tumetoshikana huu bwana waacha aondoke na sisi tujipange na mtu mwingine. So kwa kweli ni utepetevu wa hali ya juu kama hili lilifanyika tu show na halikufanyika kwa vitendo. Na si haya tu Bernard ambayo tunazungumzia kwamba ya Nduthi peke yake kuhusiana, ni mambo mengi ambayo tumeyashuhudia kwa media, kisha mwisho wa siku tunakuta kwamba hayaendi sawa. Up to date bado ni shida. Yaani sasa hivi imekuwa ni lazima ili upate matibabu lazima ukate. Nishashuhudia mimi mwenyewe Ben haswa nikimpeleka mke wangu akiwa mjamzito, na tulipelekwa huku na huku kitambo, ndo nikaamua kukata shaa kwa sababu ya kuogopa haswa yale mapene yanatoka kwa mzazi ambaye hajaweza kukata shaa pindi anapo tolewa haswa katika hospitali zetu za vijiji na kwenda kuanzia hiyo county level kuendelea mpaka hizo serikali hospitali zingine kubwa kubwa. So kwa kweli ni ngumu, na asiyekata basi hapati huduma. Hata kama anajifungulia hapo basi ambao umejifungua wewe jipange kidogo maana haujakata sha. So vipi tena hali ya afya diuchezee tu shere huku tukitangaza kwamba sha it works, sha inalipia kila mtu, wakati mwisho wa siku wengi wanakosa huduma kwa ajili ya kama hivyo. So haya mambo mimi naweza nikasema huu ndio tepetevu ambao hauhitaji miungano. Not only hii miungano, hiyo ni miungano ya kuweza kujisecure wao na mali zao na nyadhifa, kwa sababu ni patamu tu na huo tamu usionjwe na mtu mwingine, lakini kiukweli inatamausha, kwa sababu serikali inafaa kuonyesha kwa vitendo ili hakika kwamba watu wawe na imani nayo. So hata wakiungana, lakini je, swali ni kama vile tulilieka na umelieka na vile ambavyo nimeliuliza, nyoyo za Wakenya zinasemaje? Hasa hususa kama hili jambo ambao vijana wamelieka paruanja. Unaona, na huyu mama Nyamu naye anashindwa kujieleza. Mkutano ulifanyika Jumamosi, pikipiki zilitoka Jumapili, unajua vilikwenda vikarudi. Sasa hiyo ndio hali ambayo ya kujibu haswa pindi wanapokuamishwa kimaswali katika masuala kama haya. Yani huwezi pata jibu ambalo liko straight, utalikuta ili jibu lenyewe linapinda pinda, liko tele kona. Unaona? So mimi nitaachia pale Ben, lakini kwa kweli haswa nyoyo za Wakenya zinasemaje? Hilo ndio swali hawa viongozi wangekuwa wanalifuatilia na kujiuliza kila siku, kwamba nyoyo za Wakenya zinasemaje. na wakishindwa kung'amua hilo, basi wajipange kwamba wakati wote waende na wakubali kwenda, hata wa bribe wafanye nini tena, basi waheshimu maoni ya Wakenya kwamba Wakenya hawana haja na hii regime maana imeshindwa. Asante, nitachia hapo Ben, nipate kuchaji kama dakika ngapi I'll get back. Nitarudi hapa tu muda huu.
Karibu. Asante sana Msimama, tunashukuru. Swali ndio hilo na jibu lazima tulipate, lakini siasa hii mahali imefika kwangu mimi inaudhi sana. Kile kilichofanyika na watu kujiheshimu na kuheshimu ofisi ambayo unatumikia wananchi nayo, ilienda wapi? Mtu kujiona kwamba wewe ni kiongozi wa nchi, kwa hivyo ustahili kutajwa kwa hili ama kusemwa hivi, because you are a national leader. There is a level of integrity and a level of honesty and truthfulness that is required of you because you are a national leader. Why should we take the lying aspect to a scale whereby we will gather thousands of young people, get them to do a film of you offering a service that does not exist, and you doing that engineered by your state machinery? I mean, when did we fall to this level, Reverend Lala?
Bernard, nina jibu fulani na nitazungumza juu ya party politics. For democracy to work, you need strong parties, okay? Parties got to be strong enough to be able to recruit candidates. Hata Amerikani hapa ni jukumu la either Democratic Party or Republican Party kutafuta their candidates, and they interview them. Who is good enough? In fact, they are the ones that will help finance the majority of your campaign. Okay, they come and look for somebody who can win. They look at the integrity, they look at the profile of that person very thoroughly, so that by the time you come to stand, come their candidate, they are sure that you will not be an embarrassment to the party. Okay, but that is missing back in Kenya. Hiyo inakosea, inakosekana. Mtu anaenda kwa politics because, first of all, there's money there. Okay, that's a big difference. Politics in Kenya, in Africa, is where you go for wealth. Yani watu wanakimbia kwa sababu ya vile ambavyo vitu watapata. Unaona mtu ameshinda within a short time, yeye ni multimillionaire. In America, it's the opposite. People go there not because they want to make money, but because they want to contribute, and they are recruited. And so usually they make money way after they leave parliament, because now the companies want them because of they're useful to those companies or organizations. And that's when they start making money. Speeches, they have, the charge fees and things like that. But while they are MPs or congressmen or senators, their salary is less than New York or Kenya. It's about 130, US dollars per year. I mean, 130,000 per year. 56 now, it's gone up. Okay, so Kenyans earn more than them. So the motivation is money. So when it is money, and at the end there is no check and balance before you run for an election, yani unakimbia tu kwa sababu una pesa. Okay, na unanunua watu. Sasa what we are attracting is a bunch of corrupt people. Good people, unless they really have a strong conviction, are selected. I think one of the people was recruited, I think somewhere like Sifuna. When you hear the story, I think the young Nyong'o went to find him because he was writing good articles. So they went to him. Sifuna is an example of how the US do their, selection of people to run. Okay, people saw what he was doing. They liked the young man, and Nyang' Nyong'o and the rest went to convince him to come into elected politics. Okay, and that is the way it should be done. Upper Kwetu in Kenya, it is because I have money, and most of them have stolen, have corruptly made money. So they basically go out there, okay, because they want more money. Okay, they don't go there because they want us to have better life as wananchi. Okay, because if they do that, you know, they will have to change the way they are doing things. I don't want to change because, first of all, they have got no conviction at all of what they plan to do. It is more of a contest, you know. I want to make more money. I want to be Mheshimiwa and things like that. So when we are arguing here of this corrupt group of people, I think we must ask ourselves, come on, Ainchi, what is it that we have done to enable these people? Okay. It must start with us at Wananchi. There's some things that need to be done. We have to build this political party so that they can do what they're supposed to do. Or else we will continue to attract the same kind of characters that we see supposed to run our nation. There are times when Bernard, you and I look at the contribution, whether in parliament, and you realize there's some constituencies actually are doing favor to us because they have got better MPs who understand what's going on. So they're basically doing the job of other MPs. They are. So they're the ones who contribute to the debates. The ideas come from them, but there are others who are just sitting. They don't know what they're doing there. And those are supposed to be called leaders. So there is a disconnect there. So unless Kenyans, especially some of us who have gone to school, we must ask this hard question. We must bring these ideas. We must convince our people that things are not set correctly, that we need to do things the right way. And that way, we will weed out these characters that are destroying our nation. Okay. And why do I say that? Many a times, because money runs the show, we get these people. And when you hear them talk after they have been given power or they have been convinced by their masters, it's as if they are totally different people. Okay, you realize these people are wrong people, but for us it's too late. And to Mama Mboga huko, those who are, you know, to them wakipewa something ndio wanamwimbia hawa watu. Wakikuja na gari kubwa kubwa, an helicopter flying, huyu ndio mkubwa. Mkubwa is about big cars. Mkubwa is about somebody coming kuletea rice or whatever it is, chumvi kidogo, ndio mkubwa. Lakini hawaelewi kwamba that is not the sign of leadership. And the young people, especially GMCs and others, let us not allow ignorance that was with our grandparents and our parents because of them being manipulated by these people. Get to us. Ask those hard questions. Stand for what is right. Demand it from them. And educate our mama that basically if we don't make good choices, it will actually matters will stay the same, if not get worse. Okay. So that to me, I think is Simamo's contribution. I wanted to say about the kind of, when you point at those MPs, I don't think they're capable of change. I don't think they have that cognitive ability to understand the debates, many of them. Okay. I don't think they have depth of knowledge that can bring out ideas and conviction to stand on those ideas and create change. And we need people like that with a lot of conviction. So when I say look to someone like Sifuna, I think he understands why it's there. I don't think it's there for money, and we need many Sifuna type and such characters. So that's what I'd like to say. Back to you, Bernard.
Okay, thank you. But you missed out. I mean, I needed your comment on the issue of stage managing support for people.
Okay.
And
all right. Let me say something quickly about that. I don't want to say much about it, but you see, when evil spirits, get into into a personal system, that's exactly what comes out. If somebody can be that dumb to do that on a massive scale, where you promise people things that are not there, but you see, that has been the norm. See, if this is why I have a problem with Ruto, okay? Because these are things that he should know. This is what's going on. If you're trying to correct an image that people have been portraying you as a liar and you're not, these are cases where you got to stamp your feet and say, who did this? Could this have happened with Magufuli? No. Those people would have been in jail a long time ago. If you lie to Tanzanians or promise things that they wouldn't even dare. But does that happen in Kenya? No. So it is almost like it's sanctioned by the highest office. So this is where I don't understand. This is why I have a problem with this man called Ruto. Yeah. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Reverend Lala. We appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with the conversation, please make sure that you are an extension of what we are doing right here, right where you are, by sharing the link and inviting more people to participate into this great conversation. As politicians agree on matters of working together or working against each other, the country not being in a place where every Kenyan is comfortable and every Kenyan is catered for. Simamo brought up the issue of SHA, and now SHA seems to be the ID for Kenyans to use to get treatment in various hospitals. My question is, when did this become law? When did this become a constitutional requirement? Is it not the old KANU where you needed to produce a KANU card in order to receive services or access services? What is at play here? Are we going back to the old dark days, or we are moving forward? From what I understand, insurance is personal decision. It's not government decision. And if the government wants to give people free medical service, the usual and I believe the proper way is to see to it that public hospitals, which belong to the public, are equipped, they are funded, and they are supplied with drugs, with whatever clinic officers, nurses, doctors. And the doctors are well paid, nurses are well paid, and facilities for facilitating the treatment of the public are equipped and modernized to a level whereby they are able to offer the service without problem. Any government doing that, it is serving the public. But this government that wants to force the public to register in a particular registration, to be members of a particular insurance provider, and without that insurance provider, you will not get access to medical care, then it simply means this is a manipulation program. It's not geared towards serving Kenyans. It is geared towards boxing Kenyans in a particular grouping. And this grouping, what is the end? Are they collecting our data because our data is needed somewhere? Why are they forcing Kenyans to register in this particular system without making required provision? And so we have every reason to question and, suspect what's going on, because you cannot just wake up and, demand that every Kenyan needs to register and become a member of this, or else he wouldn't access this and access that. The government is not supposed to be a bottleneck, stopover, whatever operating system. It's supposed to be a facilitator, making life easier for Kenyans, making access to services more easier, not complicated. And so whatever sinister motive,
I have a question for you. I think you are confusing me.
Go ahead.
My understanding of SHA is a replacement of NHF, and I think is, to me, what I expect from a government is to make treatment affordable, accessible, and readily available to all Kenyans. Okay, that's the goal of because we have the right to healthcare, so the government should be doing it. But because the government may not be able to afford, doing it, the countries like Canada, like the US, like Britain, have what we call socialized medicine. They equip their system, so part of the of your taxes and all that goes to that system to make all those services available free of charge to all people in the country. Okay, the US likewise has what they call Medicaid. Medicaid also is a program that is managed by different states, but it is a national project that allows anyone who does not have a private insurance, especially that's just working and have their own insurance, to join that pool. When you join in, you are registered as a Medicaid recipient, you have access to all those services. The government would pay for those services. And so those with private insurance and others may not qualify for it. So, but they can qualify if you don't have enough money. They simply show that they got not enough money to have insurance, and they can register in those Medicaid system to have access to healthcare. What I understood by SHA and NHF is the same idea that you pay into a pool, maybe a smaller percentage of some fee or whatever. You pay that amount of money, just like Medicaid, some part of it you pay, okay, to join some of those programs, and so that you have access to medication, to medicine, to services, healthcare. So joining SHA, my understanding is that SHA replace NHF so that you and me can access healthcare at a reasonable price. Government probably subsidizes part of it, but we also pay a small portion, so everybody can go. Now the question is, those who cannot afford to pay for SHA, where do they go? Do they still build? And how much money is it that they can pay? And this is also in the US. Also, they have called spend down. In other words, they charge you based on the income that you show that you have, so that those who have more money can pay large. They're given a large fees. Others with less don't have anything. You have got for free. But the idea is really to enroll everybody into the system. So maybe you can help me a little bit understand what SHA stands for, because I'm told SHA does not work in some places, but some places seem to work a little better. And I don't understand. I'm hearing that there's some the SHA has registered more people than NHF, but then the services are not adequate. So help me understand what SHA stands for, because I'm confused.
Okay, thank you. But we are saying almost the same thing. No, SHA is a social health authority that is meant to ensure that Kenyans are given that access you're talking about to Medicare or medical care, especially in public hospital. And the best person to explain this to us would be Furaha. I don't know where Furaha is today. She's in that space. She could be in a better position to break that down. But what I understand, it's an insurance that wants to incorporate more Kenyans than NHF. So NHF was voluntary, number one, and then it was mainly you want to have a medical insurance, and then it is supported by the government because the majority of the contributors were civil servants. That's the major aspect. Then it was opened up to the public. If you can afford, you register, then you'll be contributing 500 per month, I think, and then you will have access to healthcare to some degree. We had some outpatient, then we had, if you are admitted, I think they will pay for you the bed or something like that, and some other items. So the inadequacies in NHF were the ones being addressed in SHA. And one of the things that has been brought to the front by the William Ruto administration is that they had a lot of corruption in NHF, where people were making claims of services they did not render. And so to address those inadequacies, they came up with the SHA as a watertight system to hamper corruption, whereby when all Kenyans are in the database and are registered, including the doctors and the nurses, so they are on the same system. If you go to Mata Hospital, okay, the doctor attending to you is in the database. It will be known Bernard came to Mata Hospital on so-so day, received so-so services. He was served by so-so person, and this was the match that was spent on his medication. Other than what used to happen that at the end of the month or at the end of a period, the Mata Hospital will forward to the NHF headquarters, we have served this your members, and this is the amount of money. And then there is no connections between the two, because these people made physically, got the services physically without much of joint data, whereby it will be known to the headquarters of NHF that this actually took place. So there was that gap where there was Kenyans who are taking advantage. Somebody went for one surgery, then they would demand 10 surgeries on that same patient, things like that. So this SHA seems to be a plate where they want to incorporate everything together, and then it will be known either whether the service was rendered or not, or whether the patient was actually in that hospital or not, and things like that. To me, that is something that is, something that is worth being congratulated for in terms of curbing the corruption. But now, where it is now becomes mandatory that if you want to get a level 3, level 4, level 5 hospitals services, you can't without the SHA. If you don't register, you'll be turned away. And there was some funny joke. I hope it was a joke, but it was shared by Mwakideo. Mwakideo is one of the radio hosts, a morning show radio host, where a lady was turned from getting, was it chemotherapy or radiotherapy of a tumor in her head, because she has SHA, and in SHA, stipulates that they can only cater for a wound, whatever, a tumor that I think 3 centimeters or something like that. Okay. And her own tumor was 2.5 centimeters. So they reduced. They denied her the service because her tumor was not big enough to fit in a SHA program. You know, those kind of things that you are denied a service because of SHA. SHA is supposed to be a bridge whereby you facilitate people to get the service and not to deny people the service because they have not registered or they don't have the SHA. I think that's the much I can say on that, unless it's more confusing now than when we spoke. Lala, are you still there?
Oh,
okay.
Oh, okay, I'm here. I'm here. Bernard, I had my thinking is this, that for me, I just don't understand the rationale for replacing. First of all, when they replace the first one, you know, system, I think it was working. It was not supported fully. Should have been expanded and made better. I think that could have cleared a lot of confusion because people knew exactly what's happening, and all you're looking for is how does this work for all Kenyans. When you bring in something half-baked, not thought through, with far much implication, so people begin to perceive it as a way of, first of all, stealing from people and creating more confusion for reason better known to yourself. It shows that you're not ready to govern. So to me, I thought it was ill-conceived. It was bad idea that came at a wrong time. But still, if it had better intention and things wanted to be done correctly, yes, even good programs like Obamacare and others, the initial stages had a lot of hiccups here and there. The system was failing, but people were working and definitely explaining each and every step. You know, if it is a problem, so people are very patient. They will listen. They will step back, and they will be willing to allow you to correct the problem. But something like SHA is a problem for me. Even when I hear some good data that more people are registered, but then I'm also hearing that people with illnesses can't get access to the medication and things like that. So it is sending all kinds of conflicting messages, back and forth. Yes, that's what now we have. We got to make it better. We got to be transparent and correct all the problems. But this is something that shouldn't have been done. We should have gone with the previous, with what we had before, and we would have been way ahead. So that's my word. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much. That is it. It was the SHA program. I don't think is even having hiccups. It is a disaster in the sense that it was not rightly managed. It was hurried, and in the process, whatever they wanted to address, I think is the main thing. When you look at it closely, the target was to increase the contributions, because NHF required that if you have another insurance policy, which every civil servant or politicians were entitled to, your contribution to NHF should not be more than, I think, 7K or something like that. And so the Ruto administration wanted to move it from being a specific figure to being a percentage of one's salary. Okay, so that if you are a member of parliament, instead of contributing the figure of 7,000 to the NHF as usual, whether you are earning millions or you are earning hundreds of thousands, you pay the usual 7K. They wanted to make it a percentage of your salary so that different people can now contribute to the kitty. But now to contribute to the kitty, after it was changed into percentage, there seems to be this vested interest of also trying to have a hand in that money. So you go to the members of parliament, make every member of parliament, instead of 7K, begin to contribute 30K every month of their salary to the SHA. And then in the SHA, you are the one who has given the system, now the software that is running the program. And then the providers of that software have a percentage of every claim. And in the process, it's a mixture of it is not even geared towards offering proper medical service to Kenyans. It is mainly a cash cow from the look of things. And that is what is making it become a problem to Kenyans. SHA receives money when you contribute or rather make payment, no delays. It's smooth flow. But when you want to receive the service or key in so that you receive the service, now the trend now becomes problematic. Your name is not being seen, or your number is not coming up, or we cannot figure you out, or we cannot. So the hiccups are only on the service provision, but collecting the money, it is smooth all the way. And that, to me and to the Kenyan suffering, it's not the way the government should operate. In my understanding, the government is supposed to make healthcare as required by the Constitution to be a right of every Kenyan, and every Kenyan should access proper medical care with or without that insurance provision. The public hospitals must be equipped, facilitated by government for the people, and not pressurize the people to come on a system that is going to make their life miserable. We have had cases of people died on the line when the SHA is not opening. People were denied wherever who had paid dialysis for, or rather NHF for the whole year. There is that aspect where we used to pay for our elderly parents for a whole year. But now SHA comes into play a midstream. And then they say we should forget everything we did with NHF. We now have SHA. And now that money we contributed to NHF is lost. We get into SHA and we begin SHA afresh. So it is more of a scandal, to say the least. But let's wait and see. But to me, we need better thinking. I believe in the old-time government where the rolling out of a system was smooth. And smooth because it's effective, not smooth because certain people have been settled and so the rest of Kenyans should suffer for them. That, to me, it's a letdown. And just like everything else goes wrong when it has vested interest, this will continue to be whatever a stain on the Ruto administration, no matter how much she has hired the mouthpieces to praise and to kind of sing for it so that it can sell. Fra is following. He wasn't able to join, but you'll be able to break down NHF and SHA and SHIF. It's well intended, but hasn't taken off in the manner it is supposed to. Major implementation hitches. Okay, so we hope when Fra joins, maybe in the tomorrow show, she'll be able to help us make sense of it. Now there is SHA, the Social Health Authority. Then there is SHIF. You will come and give us the difference between the two. To me, this is just exhausting, to say the least. because I believe in the government being different from other institutions. Government is supposed to be proactive. The government is supposed to be far projecting, that if we're going to have this, then we need to have this in place so that this will work. The way we migrated from analog to digital under Matiang'i and what's it called, Bitengen Demo. Okay, the government had to invest majorly into the ICT sector because we are moving there. So before we move there, the internet had to be moved from 2G to 3G to 4G to make the infrastructure ready before we move to it. Then we don't crash. But now this one moves there fast. Kenyans are dying on the line, and we are still telling them SHA is working. Kenyans don't need to be assured SHA is working. They just need to receive the service that SHA is offering. And so what is at play here to me is still the hunting for more money for specific people. Well, I want us not to belabor that too much. Time is gone. We need to begin to call it a day. But before that, I would love Reverend Lala to weigh on these sentiments by Moses Kuria, the former advisor to William Ruto, in his fears of what Kenya Kwanza administration is raising as blanket condemnation of specific regions or specific communities by their political preferences. Let's listen to this, and then Lala can give their view. If Msimamo comes back, he will do so, and then we call it a day. It is 28 minutes to 3 a.m. East African time. Wote ambao mnajiunga nasi, tafadhali makinika, karibisha mtu, like video, alafu toa maoni yako, tutakusikiliza.
In March of this year. Former Cabinet Secretary and Presidential Advisor Moses Kuria has castigated Kenya Kwanza leaders against the advancement of negative ethnicity, warning of the bearing it will have on the stability of the nation. Kuria, at the same time, called on leaders to stop the broad brush painting of the Kikuyu community at the expense of impeached former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and instead focus on nation building. Ayub Abdikadir has more.
Taking on his former cabinet colleague, the former Gatundu South lawmaker in a social media posting took on mainstream Kenya Kwanza leadership for what he labeled a collective condemnation, stating, yesterday in Balambala, Aden Duale in broad daylight declared that 2027 will be like 2007. The good, the bad, and the ugly, I presume. Kuria, one of President William Ruto's vocal cheerleaders in the run-up to the presidential poll in 2022, in a rather advisory note continued, I call upon all leaders to play back their speeches every evening and do some soul-searching, not because of ourselves, but because of our children. Considered a government insider despite making up the casualties list in the aftermath of the 2024 Gen Z Thunderbolt, and later leaving the catalogue of presidential advisors stationed at State House, Kuria, calling on lawmakers William Kamket and Jackson Mandago, said, from Kamket to Mandago to Aden Duale, some of us have unapologetically said no to returning this country to the politics of negative ethnicity, and equally reject the wholesale condemnation and collective punishment of an entire community. In July, Senator Mandago stated,
kama amesahau, idadi ya Wakenya ni zaidi ya milioni 50. So that as you make a lot of noise, usikae kama kuku ametega yai moja na imepanda juu ya nyumba stoka na ni yai huwezi fika gram.
On Saturday in Garissa County, the health CS accused former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua of sowing seeds of tribalism.
The days of entitlement is over. The days of entitlement that one community is more important than any other community is gone. It has gone after the new constitution, after the advent of devolution.
In finding a Damascus moment, Kuria, a former advisor, a lawmaker, and Kenya Kwanza insider, has had a tenure dotted with statements that were at odds with the offices he held, often demeaning members of the public. Ayub Abdikadir.
Reverend Lala, if you get that, please help make sense of it.
Bernard, my closing statement is this, and I'm talking to Kenyans, I'm talking to all of us as Kenyans. I think the common denominator when it comes to politicians and the state of the affairs, especially when it comes to relationship, the big thing that we hardly mention as much is the role of money. Role of money. When you hear somebody talks about tribalism and all these other things, underneath that, behind that, is either they're losing something money or they have access to it. Because it is money that changes some of these so-called leaders. They go where there is money. So what happens to all of us? We are left on the periphery. We are on the side. Tuko kule kando kabisa. Kama tuna pesa. Pesa ndio hawa watu wanatafuta. I'm sorry to say that. But Kenyans must ask those questions. When you hear people talk, underneath there is money flowing somewhere. Or they are out of it, they try to get back in. So if tribalism will help them get back, they will use it. Not because they really care much of what's going on. It is because they have lost access to funds, so they want to get it. Let me tell you, probably 75% of so-called people we are behind and we think they're leaders, if money is available, they will change just like that. There are very few who are convicted with a strong conviction. So as Kenyans, let us look at the character of our leaders, because people like Duale and the rest, I don't have any respect for them, because they can sell their community just like because of money, or Kenya because of money. So my answer to that question is really, Kenyans must really understand the role of money. And even my first point that I made, political parties, actually when you think about even the US and others, those political parties are very keen on money, okay? They're very keen on how money is used. They regulate it, okay? So that people don't have access too much of it to kind of confuse everybody. And generally, they collect that money and they give it. Like I support a party, I give money to Democratic Party. Okay, right now that I belong there. And that money is used to support candidates that have been selected, or that people feel this ones has a chance of winning and they have the integrity, so that money is directed there. But if we let things go the way they are going, I'm telling you, even good ideas, we may talk and talk and talk. At the end of the day, we are back to square one, because the players, the big players, the big boys, the big ladies will be those with money. And there is also what's called dirty money. And dirty money come from everywhere. There are people in South America, in America, who would want to use Kenya as the gateway, to get their money, get their what we call blood money into a Kenyan system. What do? They come and sponsor our MPs. They give them money, and they win election. And after they win election, now they are there to clean dirty money. They're able to bring in a lot of money put into their Kenyan account or buy things in Kenya and pay these people. They have a lot of money, and that money becomes clean. And so you think you have a leader. Actually, these people are puppets, and there are many of them. We have evidence. Many of them sponsored from outside, and Kenyans are voting for them, dancing for them. They are from our tribe, but it's about money. So I like to talk about money because we need. I talk to a lot of people, and they tell me how this is done and how they influence, country. So we got to be very, very careful how we handle money in Kenya, in Kenya's politics. Back to you, Bernard.
All right, thank you, Lala, for that. And a sad state of affairs that we have converted the whole aspect of life to be driven by what is this for me? How much can I get from this? Other than laying our lives down for the welfare of our people or the welfare of the greatness of our country. And the politics of animosity, hate, and vilification of communities and regions, in my opinion, are outdated, and nobody should engage in such. Like I said at the beginning of this show, everybody to be held responsible for their wrongs, not to generalize them and turn them into a tool to beat down any community or any ethnic.
Bernard, I think just my point, I'm very serious because even here after election, forensic audit is done on each candidate. How did they get the money? How did they use their money? That is key. We have had senators and MPs going to jail. I mean, Congress people going to jail because of the way they handle that money. So in Kenya, we got to do it because our system has been corrupted and continue to be corrupted by such people. And there are things that we can do on our own. And that's why I have issues with the people like Ruto and others, because they are pinnacle of people who we cannot say they're clean. So it's easy for them to use the system. So we need a stronger system, people in the Kenyans who are alert and awake to kind of keep them on their toes, okay? And it's not just Ruto, we're talking of many on every side. There are many of these people who we really need to stand as Kenyans and protect what the little peace we have at the moment. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And that is the same thing I'm saying. We should not defend corruption, and we should not defend misuse of public service. And to bring us to the close, let's hear this. There have been allegations about the Nakuru governor, Susan Kihiga, who went for it's called what? Went to get
maternity leave. Yeah,
maternity in the, was it in the US or wherever?
Yeah, he was in the US.
It's alleged that she spent over 500 million Kenya shillings on that particular traveling. It is allegations raised by her senator, who in the scenario of the troubles of Nakuru happens to be her sister. And it's just a complication, but she now comes on the defense, and I want you to hear on how she cleverly turns that particular matter into another political tribal engagement. Let's
Bernard,
listen to.
before you play it, let me say something. If our constitution is mirrored, we adopted the American system, then here that's a classical case where, in fact, after any election, the federal government, what the FBI and others federal prosecutors, that's their area. In fact, all of us are afraid of them to step into our system because that's what they're looking for. Any misappropriation of funds, when you're under federal investigation, you are dead meat in this country. The FBI will come for you, and you can't defend yourself because we are state, we are a sovereign, and all that. Crime is a crime. And so if there was some misappropriation of fund, the higher system should have stepped in there automatically. But for us to kind of talk about it and we just talking, nothing will happen, is the saddest part of the whole thing, because all of them are escaping with billions and billions of money when actually the counties, look at Oma Bay, underweighted, okay? Nothing was ever done. Where did that money go? And those are the cases where we should be asking the federal, the larger government, the national government, where is the county money? Where is the job of, if in the US would have been the FBI, the federal department, attorney general, and other asking those questions, the accountability system that, indict some of these people when they do things like that. But it seems as if there is something absent there. There's nothing in there. So these people can actually, not be accountable. They simply get away with murder and nobody seems to care. We just talk politicizing some of these things. So back to you, Bernard. Just play for us if you want to see that. Thank you.
Okay, so asante sana Lala. Let's hear this Nakuru governor, alafu tuanze kufungasha.
Mwambie yule mama wa Nakuru asimuone ni mdogo afikiri atamtisha. Mimi hawezi nitisha. Tangu niwe senator nilisimama na wanaume nikawaangusha. Nikiwa gavana nikasimama na wanaume. Asifikiri ni kama mama ameona tu hivi. Hiyo upuzi yake apeleke wa Monyoro. Upuzi yake apeleke wapi? Upuzi apeleke wapi? Mwambie hapa Nakuru ni Rift Valley. Nakuru sio hiyo mlima anasema kila siku. Sisi hatutaki upuzi ya uchochezi, hatutaki fitina, hatutaki siasa mbaya. Sisi tunakaa pamoja kama ndugu. Hata sio hiyo makazi za upuzi anadanganyana nazo. Sisi ni mandugu na madada. Sisi hapa hakuna siasa ya upuzi ya shares. Asikuja kuwadanganya saa hizi na alikuwa anasema maneno ya shares hapo zamani. Kwa hivyo mkimuona hapa akitangatanga, aambiwe hapa tutampea ruhusa kama ako na adabu. Kama anakuja polepole, kama anakuja na utaratibu. Lakini akikuja na fitina na ukabila, atairudisha wa Monyo. Na mimi simuogopi. Sawa? Hata mimi ni fire, si fire.
Yes, wa Kenya, nataka usikize. Ruto anasema Uhuru Kenyatta alisema ya kwamba yake 10 ya Ruto 10. Lakini sasa ataki hata hiyo 10, anataka tu 5 peke yake afanye kazi.
10 na ya Ruto 10. Si ndio? Lakini mimi sitaki 10 saa hii. Nataka tuandikiane kwanza hii mkataba ya miaka 5. Nikifaulu kwa hii miaka 5 muniongezee. Lakini nikianguka kwa hii miaka 5 mtafute mtu mwingine. Si mzuri? Kwa sababu kama mtu hajafanya kazi ile alipatiwa anaongezewa miaka ya kufanya kitu gani?
So Kenya, na mkumbuke hii Kenya ni yetu sisi wote.
There you go, Lala. If you have a matter throw in there, we are calling it at night.
My point here is this idea of kumi is a mistake from every side. There is no kumi, it is 5. Let us focus on the 5 imalizike before we jump on kumi. Kumi is discouraging the country, is creating a bigger challenge, a problem for the nation, let's talk about the lifespan of any particular term, which is 5 years. Okay. So this idea of kumi, nani kumi, 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 this is fighting democracy, and I don't know how it helps democracy. Unless they want to change the constitution to say kumi. There's nothing kumi in the constitution. Kumi is 2 terms, you know, and you don't know about the other next term before the end of that particular term. So then what you're saying is we don't need those 5 years election. You're actually anti-democracy when you talk of kumi. So let's talk about finishing this term, and then Kenyans will go back to the drawing board and decide on what they want to, you know. So to me, I'm probably 1 term sounds better, but 1 term also is a political slogan that to me doesn't make any sense. I think it has to be the life of this particular government. We need to end, and then we go to an election and then find a new person. That's why the framers of our constitution, you know, gave us those 5 years as a life of any particular government, and after that, then we make a decision. But if they have made it for us because it's kumi, is to me, I think that's two certain mistakes that we are making in our fight for democracy. Back to you, Bernard.
Okay, thank you, Lala. We appreciate that. Thank you, Furaha. Thank you, Msimamo. Thank you, Tuni, our PS. We appreciate of your input. Thank you, all of you that followed us on TikTok and Facebook, YouTube alike. It has been a great moment, engaging. I look forward to meeting you again in the subsequent programs. Please, if you have not followed us or subscribed, please do. We rely on you to keep growing. And we believe when you engage on the conversations we have here, you learn 1 or 2 things. I would that we become better Kenyans and be geared towards making Kenya better for every Kenyan. The only Kenya I believe will ever work effectively is Kenya for all Kenyans. Let's end aspect of us using our political power or political positions to discriminate, to segregate, or to undermine anyone, especially within our borders. As Kenyans, let's pull together and be there one for another in securing each other. Just like our Harambee Stars team is doing well on the pitch because they are playing as a team. Let's emulate them and play the same in every aspect of our operations, especially those of you that are charged with the responsibility of national leadership, going beyond our tribal differences, our political differences, and lift the banner of Kenya and stick our neck out for each other because of Kenya. I believe we stand a better chance to get more done that way than what we are trying to establish, the Kenya for the few at the expense of the rest. Let's meet in the next program and engage more. God bless you. Tuonane takapoonana.
Kutoka vijijini, mijini hadi jijini. Hii ni Sound Kanti Talk Live.
You've dreamed about the perfect wedding, the dress, the vows, the happily ever after. But let's ask the most important question. Before you say I do, are you truly ready for the lifelong commitment that comes after the honeymoon period fades? Bernard Ngosi's groundbreaking ebook, Are You Marriage Ready?, is the ultimate guide to building a successful, lasting marriage. This isn't just another relationship book, it's a heart-to-heart conversation that prepares you for one of life's biggest decisions, getting married. Are you choosing love or just infatuation? Are you building a marriage or just planning a wedding day?
Reading this book was a game changer. I realized I wasn't as ready as I thought, but now I'm on the right path.
Don't wait until it's too late. Invest in your future. Download Are You Marriage Ready today. Link in the description below. Your future spouse deserves the best. Are you ready?
We also work on creating documents, feature stories, explainer videos, 3D animation, and anything media related. We also offer consultation on media related topics. Our work is timely, professional, and very affordable. So, talk to us, soundcandytalk@gmail.com, or you can call us on 07 18 45 45 85. Sound Candy Talk Live News.